The newsroom. Meanwhile, in a breaking development that's just coming in, France has decided to freeze Masood Azhar's French assets. The development comes a day after China blocked a United Nations Security Council resolution. France was co-sponsor of the United Nations Security Council resolution on Masood Azhar. UNSC resolution calls for freezing Azhar's assets. Well, for more on the story, Abhishek Jha, correspondent tracking that for us over a period, joins us this afternoon. Abhishek, what does this mean? Even though we've lost it in the UNSC, pressure continues to mount and India getting support from world over.
India is getting due support from world over on the issue of this global fight against terrorism. Ever since this Pulwama attack has happened, globally it has been condemned widely. Pakistan has been named by so many countries that these terror organizations are very much based in Pakistan. France has been one of the country which has stood by India in this time of crisis. Even in UNSC's council, when the resolution was there to ban Masood Azhar, the Jaish-e-Mohammed chief, who has claimed which organization which has actually claimed the responsibility also of this Pulwama attack. France was one of the co-sponsor of this resolution to ban Masood Azhar. That would have entailed his travel ban and freezing assets across the globe, financially, crippling him and his organization. So since UNSC resolution has not been passed because of China blocking the way, France has taken upon itself, and at least France is acting against this terror organization, and the assets has been freezed, which have been in and around under the capacity of France. So in a way, India's diplomatic support from across the world is coming in, pouring in, and world is condemning the attack and action. And there has been significant action with the other countries who have been extending to India and all those organizations which have been, perpetrating this crime of terrorism across India.
Abhishek, when you say that all his assets in France freeze, what does that mean for Jaish-e-Mohammed chief?
It means clearly that he will not be able to operate all these accounts, these money, or any assets, any movable or immovable assets that are named or there have been proxy registration or proxy or ownership in the name of Jaish-e-Mohammed. All these have been seized henceforth, and these organizations, their leaders will not be able to operate all these accounts. And this is some way an action against terror funding, because once the organization has been declared or deemed to have been involved in so many heinous terror attacks. So now the France has come forward in doing this action of freezing assets, which would in some way have implication on Jaish-e-Mohammed's financial assets and financial operation across the globe, and probably other countries would also follow the suit because Jaish-e-Mohammed has taken the responsibility of Pulwama attack, and once this organization has been deemed significantly involved in all these terror activities, not just Pulwama attack, but in the last 10-15 years there have been so many major terrorist attacks, and those responsibilities have been claimed by this organization. So now it's actually a time for other countries also to join hands with India's fight against terrorism globally.
On one end we see Abhishek, China blocking, while on the other hand France going ahead and freezing all the assets that Masood Azhar has. Do you see a larger implication, the European Union coming into play and having a larger role in getting Masood Azhar banned all across European Union, or getting him as a terrorist across the European Union altogether?
Anil, there is a duplicity of Chinese stand against this terrorism, especially because India has been blaming Pakistan for all these terrorist activities that is being spread across the country, and Pakistan has been a close ally of China for its own geostrategic interests. So Chinese duplicity on this terrorist action against all these terrorist organizations and individuals, having been involved in terrorist operation was there ever since this action was, the world community was calling for action against terrorist organization. So there was a clear suspicion about how China will go ahead with this banning of this this individual who is the leader of Jaish-e-Mohammed. But meanwhile, world has been very much strongly united in fight against this terrorist organizations. USA has said, we have seen USA officials clearly saying that Pakistan should stop its soil being used by these terrorist organizations. German Foreign Affairs Minister, we have seen in his statement, he has said that Pakistan should act against these terrorist organizations. Now France, who has also been one of the co-sponsor of this resolution to ban Masood Azhar in United Nations Security Council, he has once this whole resolution was stopped, China put some technical hold on this resolution. So now France is acting upon its own capacity that it has, and the action of France has a message that at least the European countries and other part of the world who have actually been standing with India in this fight against terrorism may have their own actions under this capacity, and that will be in a kind of signaling a strong message to world over that the world is united against fight against terrorism, especially when it comes to India.
Abhishek, do you somewhere feel that New Delhi will still remain engaged with Beijing, considering that this matter or this proposal that came up in the UNSC has not lapsed, and there are 2 more windows that could be explored in the next 6 months, and then again after 3 months you've got another window that you can look at. So is that negotiation there, or backroom diplomacy still very much on between New Delhi and Beijing?
Of course, Anil, there are reports that of course there will be discussions and negotiations on to bring China on board about and convincing him that this organization or this individual should be banned, and there are enough actionable evidences against this person, and China should also not left behind in condemning and doing action against this terror organization. Meanwhile, China has of course bought 6 months window where it can have its own bargaining things with Indian diplomacy. Diplomatic channels are always open, and India so far has just said that it has been very disappointing that due to this technical hold by China, this person who has actually taken responsibility of terror attack in Pulwama has not been banned. So for the 6 months there would be of course back channel interactions and negotiations with diplomats sitting in Beijing, and probably some way India would be able to convince, because the world is united, the world is condemning in one voice that this person, his activities. So why not China should also join the join that league of condemning this person and banning this person.
Okay, Abhishek, we'll leave it there. Meanwhile, in a quick update on the story, in a joint statement that's been issued by the French Interior Ministry, Finance Ministry and the Foreign Ministry, they have said that France will discuss on putting Masood Azhar on the European Union list of people suspected to be involved in terrorism. We'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate your joining, Abhishek Jha, with those inputs there on that developing story.